Hey guys, welcome to the Centre Bounce. We're back. It's Joe and Big J, and we're talking AFL Draft, as you would have seen from the thumbnail. We're going to go through each team. Hopefully, you guys watched our live stream on Fancast. It was a lot of fun. You kind of got our live reactions, but we're going to go through each team. It's going to have day 1 and day 2 picks on there, and anyone they picked up in the rookies as well. So, kind of give our opinions on how everything's going. How you doing, Joe? Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you. Welcome back in the country. Congrats on getting married, my friend. It's a massive time for you, as is a massive time for each of these youngsters and others who are not quite so young, especially when it comes to Geelong. When they're picking up these players, really exciting time for them. And we're going to be going through, we had pizza during the live stream on Fancast. We'll see who got the pizza here in the draft. So we're going to go team by team, as you say. And we're going to be starting off with the Adelaide Crom, who, with their first selection, they actually traded up to get this guy, Dan Curtin.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think they had picks 10 and then 14 and then maybe like 17 or something as well. And then it ended up being Oscar Ryan, which is crazy. But yeah, just kind of came out of nowhere, gave up a future second, swapped around with GWS. And it worked out for them. They got the man that they wanted, kind of jumped out of nowhere. I know North Melbourne had bidded on him or had offered a bunch of picks. West Coast obviously had tried to do the same thing as well, but maybe asking for too much back in return, or maybe they just didn't want them to get Dan Curtin, So Adelaide's very, very happy with their player.
100%, especially the guy who he's a good size, 197 centimeter. He plays in the back line. He's almost like a Matthew Pavlich sort of player coming out of WA. So for them to make the jump on him and get him, who can also obviously run through the midfield as is written here on the website. But it just comes at a perfect time, especially as they lost Tom Doedee. So for this kid who is better than Doedee, in a lot of people's estimation, this was a massive pickup for him. One that was touted to be a bit higher up at the start of the year. For them to get him at pick 8, I think, was a very shrewd move.
Yeah, I think he might end up playing pretty early as well. Just kind of the formation of their backline. As you say, Dodee's gone, or Duday, whichever way you say it. He's left now, and then there's definitely a spot for that key defender role. If not key defender, he'll play in the backline and then go through the middle. I mean, no one wants to play a 197 midfielder. Like, if you're the opposition, you're like, Dan Curtin's coming, run the other way. So it's going to be great for him.
Yeah, he was a great pickup. With the second selection, they picked up Charlie Edwards at pick 21 of the draft. Someone, again, a nice-sized midfielder at 191 centimeters. And I think, again, he is one that is a good fit for him in that side. I think they're missing one extra gun mid. That's really exciting to add to their midfield group. And he's got a lot of upside with great running capacity and clean hands. So I think he's a very good pickup for him as well at that selection.
Yeah, definitely puts a bit of pressure, I guess you would say, on someone like a Matt Crouch. Be like, hey, if you don't play well, you're not getting a spot because our midfield doesn't need you now. We've got young kids coming through, and then he's going to be the future for them.
Yeah, especially in guys like Sam Berry, you got to really make the most of your opportunities because you got guys like this guy who's going to be knocking on the door.
Yeah, definitely.
With pick 27, they picked up Oscar Ryan.
Yeah, another defender. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think he's more going to be depth for what they have, but I think in this position, kind of, almost pick 30, you almost pick for depth that way. Someone who has fallen a little bit maybe down the ranks or is the end of the first round pick there. So fantastic pickup. The Adelaide's kind of team is in a really unique position where they've got an okay ruck. The back line's, pretty decent. The forward line's really decent and the midfield's decent too. It's just about taking time. So you can just pick almost best available for each of their 3 picks in the national draft. And you're going to get a good player because it's not like forced into getting something, as opposed to some other teams.
Yeah, 100%. I think Oscar Ryan is one that's sort of, I feel like he's got that, he's not the tallest player at 187, but he's got great agility. He can play above his size because he's a pretty good jump, but he's also got some really good leg speed. He ran a 20-meter sprint 3 seconds flat. So that's really impressive for a 187 centimeter defender.
It's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah.
So he'll give him some line breaking ability. I don't think they have too much of that at the Crows anyway. Like seriously, when you think of Adelaide and halfbacks, nothing really screams out at you. So I think for someone at this age to fill in their back line, which we know isn't the best, to also add some speed to it, he's not going to have a lot of expectation on him. I think he'll be able to hit the ground running and really get some good development under him.
I think it also helps to push Jordan Dawson from that backline position to more of a wing midfield type as well. Getting someone else there who they don't have to rely on him to push the ball from halfback, like you're saying. They can put it on someone else, and maybe halfway through the year or whatever, if he's ready to go, then they go.
Yeah.
They've also rookie listed a couple of players. So James Borlase, who has been dealing with some pretty bad injuries, and I think Will Hamill as well, who might be doing a similar thing. So it's been good that no one kind of picked up these players. There was potential that a North Melbourne could have said, hey, Borlase, you're 197, you're a key defender. We could have got you. But, like no one's done that. They've stuck to their guns and they've, shown some loyalty that maybe some others haven't done.
Exactly. So congratulations to the Crows. I think they had a very solid draft there. So well done. No disappointing picks or speculative picks there. I think that was very solid. We then get to the Brisbane Lions. With their first pick at 31, they picked up Logan Morris.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, he's someone that a couple of teams. So I know North Melbourne were trying to trade up to potentially get him. Brisbane were after him as well, and maybe Sydney or someone else. So a little bit of an undersized key defender, but did look really good in his highlights. Really good aerial marking ability.
He's a key forward.
Key forward, yeah. Really good marking ability, and I think he's quite decent in front of goals as well. And that's it's interesting because his type of player, that 191 centimeters, is almost what you consider to be that tallish medium forward now versus like that key forward mold, because key forwards are so much taller. So Tom Fullerton's gone, I believe, from them. They've got a couple of others. I'm not sure if Kai Lohman's been delisted as well. But, excuse me. There's a couple of players and Gunston left as well. So there's a spot for his type of player, just the way that they play. And, he might even come in pretty early depending on fitness.
Yeah, he's a very classy type of forward with great poise. He doesn't have the greatest speed, but neither did Gunston when he was playing for them as well. So it's not like he's going to, it's going to be an entirely different looking sort of forward line for him. But he's got great clean hands. He's great at contested marks. So really excited to see what this guy can do for him. Another great forward going across to Brisbane. They really love to stock up on great key forwards.
Well, I mean, it's probably one of their weakest spots, with Hipwood probably not being the most mobile player. Danaher is not the most mobile player either. You kind of jump on maybe a North Melbourne's mold in a couple of years, or Sydney, or even Collingwood, and have a few more of these guys who are a little bit taller that can run, because it just works out well for them.
100%. With their next pick, which was pick 42, they picked up Luke Lloyd from the Sandringham Dragons. He is also a key forward at 193 centimeters. Again, it's the land of the forwards over there at Brisbane.
When you make a grand final, your team is pretty solid. You can just pick whoever you want, and it probably doesn't matter. They could have picked a small defender or someone else, and it probably wouldn't have mattered too much for them. It's kind of just, hey, look, we've lost these types in the trade and delisting period. Let's try and refill them again.
He's a good player. He's got great forward craft, good footy IQ. He's more of a leading type of player. He's not one of those massive, big contested mark sort of guys. He likes to play on a lead, which I think is a different sort of style to what Hipwood and Danaher, who like to jump up and take some marks. So yeah, another one that sort of plays in a different sort of game style. I don't think, again, the big benefit to these key forwards playing for Brisbane is there's not going to be a lot of expectations on them to dominate right away, because it's not an area of need for them, unless Brisbane have secretly got injuries to both Hipwood and Danaher that we're not sure of.
I think it's just shoring them up for the future, right? Because Hipwood's still around the good age, but how old's Danaher now? Like early 30s. He's not going to be around for that much longer.
Oh, is Joe Danaher really that old? Jeez.
I thought he was. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I got it in my head that when he went over to from Essendon, he was like
he's 29. He's 29.
29. Okay. All right then. So it's not too bad. But
yeah.
I think Gunston leaving kind of showed that they needed that type of player, like you've said, but then they're trying to fill that up as well. I think Luke Lloyd can also push a little bit further up the ground, which means he's not locked into that forward 50. And you want that type of player.
Yeah, 100%. With their third pick at pick 51, they picked up Zane Zakostelski.
Yeah, he was a real draft faller as well. A few people had him maybe not in the top 20, but at least in the top 30 to top 40. And for him to end up at 51, we'll go through this in a lot of other teams as well. But yeah, there's definitely some players that people had high on their draft boards this year that fell, and he was one of those players. Really good player, key defender, 196. Like any team would be happy.
It's probably his lack of consistency. I think that his biggest problem when he's dominated and he really is a very catchy, eye-catching sort of player because of just how athletic he is. He's very different to those first two players that they've picked up. This guy has a lot of speed. He has a big vertical jump. So when he's playing well, he really is eye-catching. But when he has those poor games, it can get pretty poor. So for him, he needs to work on his consistency, playing in a back line with the likes of Harris Andrews, Payne, Gardner. There's a bunch of solid, role players and stars there that you can sort of keep him grounded. And I think it's a good fit for him. Another big key defender for a team that just missed out on winning the grand final by under a kick. So I think he's a good selection.
I think so too. And as you say, rated elite by Rookie Me Central in his aerial skills. So if you've got a 196 centimeter player who's rated elite, this guy can jump a lot higher than 196 centimeters.
Correct. So he can play big. He can play big.
How much big do you want it?
All of the bigness. And they rounded out. Was this the last pick of the night? Reece Torrent at pick 64?
I think it was pretty close. Yes. Last pick of the night.
Yeah, he had a lot of downloading to do. That's why he was the last one.
Yeah, it's not illegal though, so that's a good thing for him. I don't know much about this kid. Kind of rated above average across the field. Production and speed, Rookie Me Central have him as kind of his things he needs to improve on. But if you're good at everything else in the midfield, that's probably not a bad thing. He's not going to be playing AFL next year. And we know being stuck or being in a team with guys like Ashcroft and who's the midfielder that just took over Ashcroft's spot? The guy that doesn't have his shirt. Yeah.
He loves to keep that shirt off.
He does. Mate, I heard he got a lot of Instagram followers.
He did get a lot of Instagram followers,
But when you're stuck behind Dunkley and a few other, Lockie Neal in that midfield, you can learn from the best, and then they are workhorses there. So they're not going to be a disadvantage for him for much longer. Real kind of, hey, we've got the last pick in the draft. Let's pick someone who could be good, but he at least is going to be good for our VFL team.
When you think of this kid, think of a very young David Mundy type of player. So he's not going to be scorching the field with speed. He's not going to be very dominant in terms of, but he's a good player that gets into right positions, unflustered, and makes good decisions. So I think in the future he'll fit in really well in that midfield with Ashcroft, who's also quite composed, Fletcher also quite composed. So I think he's obviously a project player, which in time will be very serviceable, I think.
Which is fine for the guys that just made the grand final to pick up.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly, 100%. And then they've had a pre-listed rookie, an academy pick in Bruce Revel, who I can't tell you much of anything about, to be honest.
No. Maybe you can tell us in the comments. If Bruce watches this video, you can tell me, mate, I'm the best kick in my under 15s team. Like, get me on the show. I'll tell you all about me. So, Bruce, let's go, mate.
On you, Bruce. Congratulations. All right, we move to the Blues. Pick 29 was their first selection, and they picked up Ashton Moore.
Yeah. It was an interesting one. This guy really fell. Like, I had a few draft boards that I'd seen kind of during the time where he was in that kind of top 20 mark, or at least first round, went to pick 28. But for Carlton to pick him up the way that they did, fantastic player, really good on both feet. And I think anyone in the 30s would have loved to take him. Really, really fantastic player. And they're just going to love him there.
Yeah, at 188 centimeters as well. It's a good size. Yeah. Again, key forward at 188 centimeters. You want your key forwards to be maybe slightly taller than that. But the fact that he can, as you say, kick on both feet and can be quite menacing and really dangerous in front of goal. Like I think of the likes of Kyle Langford, for example, as an Essendon supporter. Those awkward sizes can be really tough to match up on. If you're matched up on someone who's a true key defender, could be too slow to match him. And if you're matched up on someone a bit smaller, could use that athleticism to be able to outmark him. So Ashton Moore, I think, is a very exciting, great pickup for the Blues. As much as I hate to say it, I think he fits him perfectly, to be honest.
Right. Rated elite in aerial, sealing, and disposal. So when this guy gets the ball, he does it well. It's just about that consistency. And maybe that's just being a young kid. Get him in a team with Charlie Curnow and Mackay and a few of these others, mate. Yeah, Carlton did very well. For a team that only had like 2 picks, can't complain if I was a fan of theirs.
Absolutely. They did a really good job. And with that second selection, 5 picks down the track, they picked up Billy Wilson, the 183 centimeter. They've got here as a defender, but he has shown that he has been able to play. He has been able to play again, running through the midfield at times, but he's primarily a half-backer. Did really good. He's got great speed, great rebounding ability, and he's not afraid of finding the footy. He's a great accumulator. So I think, Sard's not a spring chicken anymore. He was getting on. Billy Wilson, I think, will be ready to go by the time Sard's out the door.
Yeah, and especially with Zach Williams having some injury problems as well. Does he play midfield? Does he not? Is he a halfback? We don't know. It's a good play to have as bench cover. I know Carlton fans can hold their heads up high. North Melbourne was trying to trade back into the pick in the 30s to pick up Billy Wilson as a player that we wanted. So a bit annoyed that you guys got him, but it is what it is, and congratulations. He's going to be a superstar, I think.
Yeah, he'll be very good. And then they rookie drafted Matt Carroll.
Yeah. I think he was a player that I think last year didn't get picked up and then has now been picked up from memory, or maybe he got delisted. But I know there was a bit of like, hey, Matthew Carroll's on a list, and yeah, they're going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, congratulations to the Blues. We then move to the Dirty Pies, the Premiers. 2 picks, but I think they bloody nailed them, unfortunately, with Harry Dimatia at pick 25 and 2 GF at pick 37. Starting with Dimatia, this guy,
that hair,
he fits so well, doesn't he? At the Pies.
Yep. Yeah. Until he does the he can't even do the Ginnivan anymore because Ginnivan's not there. So what color hair are they all going to have now? No more white hair at the Pies. That's gone. But yeah, just a fantastic player. The footage of his kind of reaction when he got drafted in the family, I'm not sure if they kind of knew already, but there were definitely Pies jumpers around everywhere. So
correct.
Maybe the Pies, Pies family gone to a Pies player. So whenever that happens, I'm always a big fan of that.
Yeah, this guy is just pace, fast, running, tackling. I don't know. I feel like he's another. Crap. What was his name in their forward line that plays forward very fast that we really respect? Underrated. Yes, that's the one. I feel like he's another McCreary.
Same.
He looks correct. They look pretty similar. I think
McCreary can grow a moustache though. That's probably the only thing.
Probably not. But I think he's another. I think he's another McCreary, which I'd love to have a team full of McCrearys, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a fantastic pickup, and we know kind of what we've said. Carlton made the finals, did quite well. Brisbane made the finals, did quite well. These guys are picking up the best available players who they really want versus having to fill needs.
Yeah.
I mean, Collingwood just went and won the grand final, so anyone they pick up is going to be a superstar at that club.
Yeah, and this guy was a co-captain of his team as well. So
There you go.
again, they just get leadership, and they also pick up Hugh GF. I would have loved to have seen us trade up to get this guy. I really like what I saw from this defender. He's a 188 centimeter, but he is so athletic. He can match up on the 200 centimeter on the 2 meter defenders, I think, with no problem. And he's got great composure, great intercepting ability. He is exactly what the Pies would love to have. So he was a late season bolter, but he's shown enough physical capabilities that he's going to fit into that Collingwood side really well.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a think about him, from what I've heard, he's basically a mold of his brother who plays at Hawthorn. Obviously, when he was fit. So if you can go back and think about that type of player now at Collingwood, mate, it's going to be scary, Joe. We know Jeremy Howe's probably on his not his last legs, but he's got a couple of years left. This guy comes in and kind of takes that marking role. Boy, oh boy, they're not getting any worse anytime soon.
No, it's bloody annoying stuff here, Collingwood. I hate you. All right, I'm gonna thank God I didn't rookie anyone, so we can stop talking about him. We get to my mob, the Dons. We traded up. We gave up pick 31 in order to move up to get Nate Caddy at pick 10 because
it didn't really hurt you that much either because you still got two other good players afterwards.
Correct. We needed to do it because the West Coast Eagles were sniffing around for this guy at that pick. They offered Geelong their future first to get that pick and pick up Nate Caddy. So thankfully, Chris and Brad are twins, and Chris felt sorry for Brad and decided,
you did like a deal with him? Said, hey, look, you get the extra dinner at Christmas. The plum pudding, that's yours. You can have the pick instead. Yep.
Why? Because why would you accept pick 31 of this year's draft as opposed to accepting West Coast's first round? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get a much better pick out of West Coast. But thankfully, they accepted the deal. We managed to move up and pick up Nate Caddy. 193 centimeters as a key forward. Again, not the biggest, but he still has room to grow around Kerno size. And we know Kerno is now the back-to-back Coleman medalist. So he's a great marking machine, the bread and butter of his game. He didn't have a great ball drop. He's been working on it. He spoke to Sav Rocker this year and managed to improve his goal-kicking accuracy. So he's a go-getter, and that's what I love to see. He's worked on his game, and I think he's going to fit into our side perfectly.
Well, it's exactly what you need, right? You've been crying out for a good key defender. Now you've got a good key forward. So you've been crying out for a good key forward. I mean, you did get one in Mackay, so it kind of fits both ways. But yeah, Nate Caddy, do you think he plays early? Is there a spot for him to play like round one?
Oh yeah, I think there is. I think if Stringer isn't fit and isn't firing, this guy can well and truly come in and play that role because he's shown that he's capable of playing in the midfield. So Stringer, eyes on you, mate, to be fit and firing. Harry Jones, eyes on you to take that spot.
Wiedemann. No one's looking at you, mate.
Bro, no one's looking at Wiedemann. Wiedemann's off high on weed at the moment. So, yeah, really happy with the Nate Caddy selection. You also like the look of Luamon Luar at pick 39.
There's a really good documentary series, if you find it out on YouTube, on him. Just kind of talking about his journey and things like that. And even just the coverage when he got drafted, how many family members and things like that. Outside of his football skills, he can do a lot for a family that's, new to Australia or from another place. Fantastic young man, fantastic player. And that kind of he's going to bust his guts every day. And when he gets that chance, watch out opposition forwards because you're not getting let go.
No, absolutely. I'm really excited with him as a selection. I know I would have loved GF, but to get Lual, I think is great because he's athletic. He's got great speed. He's not shy with the ball. He will take the tough, aggressive kick, which is something that we've lacked at times with a back line that likes to play a bit too safe. Take the game on is exactly what this guy does. Run and carry without, after Nick Hine, there really isn't much run and dash off halfback. We lost Sarge, we lost McKenna.
And Massimo's gone too.
Massimo's gone to the Hawks. So in terms of running halfbacks, we don't really have much depth. So we probably needed to get one, and we actually ended up with two because Luau
the next
is
guy
that.
we're going to talk about.
Because the next guy also offers that in Archie Roberts.
This guy fell. From memory, he was pick in the 50s. So some people, Joe, had Archie Roberts in their first round, or in at least, in the pick in the 20s. And for you get him at pick 50, like, come on, man. What is this? It's not a shallow draft. Whenever someone says shallow draft, I'm going to be like, nah. There's fantastic players getting picked up in the 50s and 60s. How is it a shallow draft?
Who was it on Fox Footy, on the Fox Footy coverage, that said that us selecting Archie Roberts at that selection wasn't just a steal, it was daylight robbery. The fact that this kid was still there at that point. And he was also trained under Matthew Lloyd in year 10 at Haileybury as well. So there is an Essendon connection there already. Really excited about this guy. Some people might, say that he is a bit vanilla in the way he plays, just playing a simple game style, but I love it. I think having some predictability is really good, especially if the ball is moving quickly out of the back line, which is what this guy can do. He can run, dash off halfback, and he's a beautiful left foot ball user. I am so wrapped with this guy. Oh, I can't believe we got him, man. I'm very happy with what the Bombers have done this year. I'm very happy. Dodora has left us with a nice present before leaving.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, you got, 3 good players that will be most likely be in your best 22 in the trade period. And now you've got a kid who's filling your full forward needs. You got a guy who, 2 players who are filling those other needs too. Do you know much about Vigo? Kind of got picked up today. I hadn't really heard about him much.
He's the younger brother of the Vizentini that plays for Port Adelaide Power.
Is it Port Adelaide or Fremantle?
No, he plays for Port Vizentini. He looked really good in the preseason. His brother, that is. Vigo is his younger brother. He's obviously a work in progress, but he's 204 centimeters tall. But he looks and he moves really well. He moves well for a big man. So I'm happy with Vizentini and Vigo. I love your name. Just go straight to Todd Goldstein and tell him, teach me, sensei. Teach me everything you know.
You've got him as a couple of years on the coaching deal, so why not? Something I will say, I know North Melbourne's picked up a few, but really seems like the rucks these days. I don't know what they're putting in the water or they're picking up all these fantastic players, but rucks aren't that slow lumbering player anymore, Joe.
No.
All these rucks, they're mobile players. Like, hey, Grundy kind of did stuff. Max Gorn mold. You need to be mobile these days.
100%. Man, Vigo comes from a volleyball background. So
there you go.
There you go. Something that you guys didn't know. We move over to Freo, who didn't really have much by way of selections, but they traded in.
They still did very, very well.
So they picked up Cooper Simpson with their first pick at pick 35. What can you tell us about Cooper Simpson, mate?
Mate, people had Cooper Simpson at way earlier than what they picked him up. Fantastic young man, run and carry from what I'm hearing, and just kind of you look at Freo's team and you don't think they really need that much in the midfield. It's probably one of their stronger points. Maybe the forward line's a bit of an issue at the moment. They've lost Lob and a few of these other players. Jai Moose is there, but having this guy learning under Brayshaw, under Sarong, give him 2 years, super coach worthy. That's all I'm going to say.
Love it. That's something to look forward to, guys. So someone super coach worthy. Their second pick, they picked up Ollie Murphy, who a lot of people were surprised at how low he got to as well.
Yeah.
200-centimeter key defender.
Really fell hard. People had him at pick 10. People had him at pick 12. And then the draft combine happened. I don't know what apparently his vertical jump wasn't that great. Maybe he was just feeling sore. His run and carry wasn't the same either. He could have just tested poorly. And then kind of when they did the interviews, I think he kind of didn't interview that well. And then he just dropped in the 40s. This guy was pick 12 on some people's draft boards. The next beat a key defender after Schoenmaker, who also dropped. Next one after O'Sullivan as well. For him to be at this pick for a team, I'll say it again, right? But for a few teams that didn't have fantastic draft picks, they all picked up really good players.
Yeah, agreed. And with their third selection, they picked up Jack Deline, who is a forward that quite a few people, I think, had their eyes on because this guy genuinely is a great goal kicker. And he's got X factor in that he can create something out of nothing. So he's 182 centimeter. Again, not the biggest when it comes to your forwards. Those are really hard to find, especially late in the draft. The later you go in the draft, the smaller they get as forwards, and they start to really have to rely on creativity. And that's what Jack Deline is. He is a creative forward, and I think that's something that they're going to need because they've lost the grunt of Schultz now in that forward line. Plus, they were let down a lot during the course of this year by lack of goal kicking options. So I think Jack Deline, he's got great goal sense. I think he's one that can really give them some spark in the forward line.
Yeah, I think so. And it's something, as you say, I think they actually need, and they're desperate for as well. Excuse me. They're desperate for as well. Maybe Damo can jump on and he can let us know kind of something a little bit more. Why is he happy to get him on? Because friend of the channel, and there's been some real hype. I think this guy was projected again, Joe. 3 players in a row that Freo picked up that were ranked so much higher than what they were supposed to be. So, fantastic. This guy's rated elite in aerial, and that's kind of what they want. Perfect next to Amos as well.
Correct, and they've got Odin Jones in the rookie draft. All right, we then move to Geelong, who used a lot of picks this year. They were very
fantastic
busy
players. They got some,
These guys cleaned up.
Yeah,
they
really
actually
did.
cleaned up.
And it's interesting because people hate Geelong. I know Daz hates Geelong. Hopefully he's watching, being a Hawthorn man. But for a team that basically hasn't been out of the top 8 since I can remember watching football, every year they just come out, cool. We've just picked up 6 or 7 players. They're all going to play. We've got mature age guys. We've got people who are going to play from round 1. That's it. It just doesn't happen like other teams, down and up. Geelong's just too good at this game, Joe. Their recruiting manager, he better be on like $1 million because this guy's worth every cent.
Yeah, Mackie, he was a good footballer in his day, and he's also shown that he's a really good list manager as well. They start their first pick with Connor O'Sullivan at pick 11. That was our pick, which they were happy to slide back 1 for when they saw that we were really keen on Caddy. They picked up Connor O'Sullivan, who is one of, again, the best players of this draft, a key defender at 198 centimeters. He is very versatile. He can play a number of different positions in a number of different roles around the ground, but he probably shone the best playing as that intercepting defender, and he can run. He's got great mobility, so he's a great pickup. He's different to an SDK. I'd say he's more similar to Tom Stewart, really.
Yeah, and with Radigalia not being in that back line anymore, obviously got traded and there's a spot for him. I reckon O'Sullivan could easily play from round 1 and should play a majority of the year with how strong their back line is. I know they got Guthrie and SDK and Tom Stewart as well. This kid will thrive, Joe. Like, perfect fit. Perfect fit for their team.
100%. So, congratulations. And then they also picked up Mitchell Edwards at pick 32, who is a ruckman at 206 centimeters. They don't have the best rucks, do they?
No. And he was picked up by a lot of people to be a pick in the teens as well. So another person in this supposed shallow draft that fell, and Geelong have just picked up their ruckman for the next future. As you say, I don't even know who their ruckman is because every year they trade someone in, they trade people out. A guy's a winger, and just because he's tall, now he's the ruckman. Like, give this kid a couple of years, Supercoach. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, really happy. Geelong fans should be really happy this year.
Oh yeah. He's a great tap ruckman. So he's absolutely going to be in a lot of people's Supercoach in a couple of years' time, if not even this year, to be honest. Because they're going to rely on Segler.
Well, that's it, right? Like, Segler's on his last legs, is 50 and got no knees. Like, if this kid's half as good as what we think at two, because the modern day ruckman isn't 206. A lot of the ruckmen that play in teams at the moment are 200. So that's 6 centimeter reach, plus how much longer your arms probably are, and how much fitter you are being a young player. As long as you can avoid getting pushed around, like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, 100%. With their third selection, they don't actually have a link for him. Poor Sean
the
Manar.
gun. Watch his highlights. That's all I'm saying. Watch his highlights. This kid came out of Werribee. I guess if you're younger than me, I'm going to call you a kid. Like,
he's not a kid. He's 21 years old.
No, he's 26.
He's 26.
He's 26. He's the perfect small forward. They went out and got Tyson Stengel, and did they win a grand final? They must have done pretty well. Yeah. They've just done that again. They've just done that again. Like, that's how good this kid is. Super electric player. He will bust his guts because he got given an A. He's going to play round 1, Joe. And he will dominate. And he will dominate.
He's in my Supercoach team.
There you go. Like, he's going to dominate against opposition. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. So he's absolutely one of the best. He was one of the best, absolute best players in the VFL that went by this year. So yeah, have a look at Sean. I would have loved to have picked this guy up, but
North Melbourne would have loved him too.
Yeah. What can you do? He kicked 40 goals in 21 games. Just
it's not bad.
Just out there, if you guys just want to, if you can't be stuffed watching highlights, 40. He kicked that many goals, so check him out, please. With pick number 58, they picked up George Stevens, who is the 189 thing in the mid.
If there was an award for like big head and massive jawline, this kid's winning it, bro. I'm just looking at that face. I'm sorry, this kid's going to be fantastic for them. This was the guy that 101 kilos at 18.
Yeah. Insane.
Super ball winner out of the midfield. Maybe not the fastest player, but at that pay, at that size, you just don't need to be, Joe. Like, this kid is fantastic. Joel Selwood left. Change his name to Joel Selwood because he's going to play a similar role. And this kid, round 1. Like, when I don't need, like, joke when I say Geelong picked up a few players who can be round 1, like, eligible. This kid could be round 1. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's consistent. He gets down. He averaged 29 disposals, 7 clearances, and 160 Supercoach points again.
Yeah. He's basically Ben Cunnington. I'm looking at his stats, and below average in agility. Okay, he's 101 kilos. Below average speed, strength, elite. Like, you could bench press like some of the kids who got drafted. Be like line 2 up, 1 in each arm. Let's go. But the best thing is consistency and contested ball. So he really could be like Ben Cunnington reincarnated. Has now gone along. So yeah, they'd love him.
That is a win. That is a win again for the Cats. At pick 58, pick 61, they picked up Oliver Whitshire, and at pick 63, they picked up Lawson Humphreys. Again, no link for Oliver Wiltshire. I'll just say that he had a really positive 2023 season. He kicked 48 goals this year across 16 games. So he was basically averaging 3 goals a game. And he even kicked 12 goals in one game. So that's really impressive. So again, someone that they can get as someone that can play forward. Cameron isn't a spring chicken anymore, and Hawkins is even older than that.
So, it works out nice for him. Humphreys is not a bad player for them. Definitely a project player. But if you look at that Geelong team, they don't need guys to play straight away. Maybe Stevens will play because he's a gun. But yeah, they don't need him to play straight away. Explosiveness and athleticism are the worst traits of him, but everything else is better. Can kick on both sides. Fantastic kicking. Really skillful and classy player too. And I think that's what Geelong kind of does. Like, their transition's not the best. They don't need a guy who can run from back to forward like maybe a Sydney do. But if they can just go kick, mark the entire way, that works out for them.
Exactly. And the rookie drafted Emerson Jika, who was a Hawk, came to the Bombers for 8 days. and then was picked up by the Geelong. So he was in our VFL team for 8 days before being picked up by the Cats.
Yep.
So
They
congratulations
did all right
to him.
Yeah.
They did all right. We move now to the Gold Coast Suns, who did exactly what everyone knew they were going to do.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. I mean, that pick 24 in the rookie draft, good luck to him. But yeah, it's kind of Jed Walter, the key forward. We know what Jed Walter's done. Probably the best player in the draft. A couple of years ago, when Horn Francis and Dacos were there, it was like, which one was the best? We don't know because they're not available to each team. Jed Walter's probably the same. If North Melbourne had pick 2, they would have picked Jed Walter in this draft. The kid's just that good. It's crazy how good this kid is. He'll play round 1, and he's the reason why Ben King will stay at Gold Coast.
He is who he is. Congratulations.
It looks like he's 30, though. That's my only problem. Like, I don't know what
really
they're
a
doing
problem,
up in. Oh, I don't know what they're feeding these kids this day. This guy also looks 30.
He has seen. This is an art. He has seen things.
He's seen things.
He has seen things.
He's come back from war and is like, yep, that's it.
He's seen Dimmer Hardwick and it's like, crap, he's my coach now.
Yep, no slacking off.
No slacking off. Oh, jeez, what's going on here?
Yeah, really good player.
202 centimeter ruck. He is the perfect player to come in for the Gold Coast Suns with wits on his way out. Absolutely perfect. So, he's a star. Don't even have to think about it. Jake Rogers, also a star. Will Graham. Again, you look at just academy, matched bid.
It's finally paying off. And I know that they've had kind of this bid stuff going through at the moment. And the first couple of years, not so good. Players came and go, but I think we're going to see more really good academy kids because these are the ones that would have come into the system maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when it first started. Now they're coming to fruition, right? So next year, I think they've got a couple of really good ones. The year after as well. They need to change the rules, Joe. Big J's not happy.
No, because now they've had another midfielder who is capable, who has very fast, great hands, great agility. He's just going to be zipping around that midfield.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to go, yeah. And he's a good tackler as well. So he's all in. And they got Will Graham, who's a 186 centimeter midfielder. Decent size for a mid. If you're 185 plus, I think you're getting on the good size. And he's just an explosive ball winner. So, again, great contested ball work. Just when you thought that really the Gold Coast Suns don't need more contested ball winners, they've added yet another one who has power and strength to break out of contests to go with Matt Rowell. So, and Anderson, it's just a joke, honestly.
It's an interesting one because I think they kind of really struggled when Tuke Miller wasn't in the team. So to have some more bench cover for him, if Graham's as good as what some people are saying, give him a couple of years. Hey, Tuke, you're injured. Cool, no worries. He goes Graham into the team.
Correct. So congratulations to the Suns. They've absolutely killed it. Sam Day was relisted in the preseason draft. And then in the rookie, they picked up Closey, Rowlands, and Mahoney. So
yeah, Jack Marnie. Constantly injured at North Melbourne. Really undersized kind of midfielder. I mean, the work rate's there, which is what they want. But yeah, he's one of those guys who's really got to get his body right. Good luck to him. I hope it works out well. But really weird pick. I think it was the last pick in the rookie draft. And it's like, Jack Marnie. I'm like, what? Who? Okay, then.
Such is life.
Guys, that was the end of Gold Coast and part 1 of our review of the 2023 AFL Draft. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Remember, Joe, what do we do at the Centre Bounce?
We do the hard works that you don't have to. And remember, part 2 coming out very soon.